Hi, this is Angie at Abundant Acres Homestead, and today I'm going to be harvesting some of our horseradish. Earlier this year, some friends of ours, Tay and Bo, were moving and they had this horseradish at their place. So I asked if I could steal some of their horseradish, and they said yes. So ended up getting this horseradish. I've got this bucket and I've got another bucket over there. One of the main reasons I decided to try to plant the horseradish in a bucket is because horseradish, even though we've never personally grown it, we have some friends that have, and it took over everything. Some people would call it invasive. I don't really like that term when it comes to plants that you can actually eat. I don't know, it just sounds harsh to me. Invasive just sounds awful. To me, invasive is something that, you just don't want at all. So I'm gonna call it aggressive and not invasive. But I will say, if you plant this, make sure wherever you're planting, you either don't care if it takes over, or plant it like we did in a bucket or a raised bed, something that can contain it, because if left to go wild, it will do just that. It will go wild and it can take over everything. So be careful where you plant it, because wherever you plant it, it's going to grow for like ever. How it grows is it has a really long taproot, and off of the taproot there's like little shoots or fingers, I guess you would say, off of that root. And so if even a little bit of that root gets broke when you go to dig it out, it's going to keep growing. So it really will take off on you. When you do plant it, you want to make sure that you plant it in a good sunny spot. We put it on the back part of our garden, so it's probably one of the sunniest spots there is. You want to put it in a sunny spot, and you want to put it in good drained soil, which is another reason why we decided to put ours in containers. Not just to control it, but those of you that's been following us knows we have clay soil. So can you imagine putting something like this that will take off on you in clay soil that you can't hardly dig anyway? Yeah, would have just been a mess. When is the right time to harvest horseradish? Some people say anytime after September. Some people say after the frost. But the easiest way I can remember is they always say that you can harvest horseradish in any month that ends with the letter R. So September has already came and passed. We are into October, still an R. We got November and December left. So I am planning on harvesting some of it. I do not plan on harvesting the whole thing. When I planted this, there was only one root that I actually even put in here. But you can tell already, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's actually two plants here from just the one. Oh no, there's three, a little tiny one in here, but there's actually two. I'm gonna call it a half because it's really tiny. But yeah, so I'm not even gonna call it a full season because we got it late. It's already grown quite a bit. And that one over there grew even more, even though it was attacked. I'll show you that one too. See this one here? You can see there's one plant. There's two plants. And see the little baby one starting? So that's this one that's in the garden. And you can see there's the other one that got banished. It got put out here because it was getting attacked, and I was afraid that they wouldn't stay here. But again, look how there's one plant, there's two plants. Got an onion in there too. That I'm not sure if it's another plant or part of this one. Here's one, there's one. I think this is all one. There's one, and then there's two back in here. So even though this one got attacked pretty good, like completely, I had to cut all the leaves back because they just pretty much annihilated it. but you can see it grew back, not a problem. Okay, so let's see what we got. Like I said, this one is the one that we've had, like we literally planted a piece. It might have been 6 inches long. So I'm just gonna go ahead and dig into it. Okay. Honestly, I didn't use the best soil because we didn't have any by the time we got these. So this is just kind of leftover soil. Again, I don't really baby my plants. You guys know that. So it was pretty much left here to fend on its own. I think there was a couple times that I watered it just because we had a few really, really dry spells where I pretty much watered everything. But really no care went into this. So, oh, good grief. Okay. The good part about digging would be you could just dig it right up. In the container, we can dump it all. Oh, I broke it. Okay. So, pretty decent root system. There's a little one there. And we may not even get any to harvest this year, just because, simply because they say you can get it in a year, but they say you get the best tasting horseradish after 2 or 3 years. So, but I'm not a patient person, and I want to see what we got. And I figured this one was the smallest one. So, like, see, these little ones that are all broken off, these will turn into more horseradishes, more plants. So if you are looking for a plant that you plant and then just harvest and it does its own thing, horseradish would be one of them. Okay, for some reason, it's not wanting to work with me. And they say, I've also heard of people eating the actual greens. I've never tried it, so. Reminds me of kale, and I'm not really a huge fan of kale. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of horseradish, but Kenny is, so we had the chance to get it, so we got it. Who knows, we may not get any horseradish this year. I don't know if we're gonna have any to even bother. Oh, here we go. Found a root. Okay, we can work with that. I don't know if I can pick it up on camera or not. But that's a pretty decent root there. Okay, let's see what the other one did. Again, I'm not gonna complain about that one. That's pretty big too. Okay, I think I'm just gonna throw a bunch of this right back in the pot. And whatever's here, just let it keep growing for next year. One of the reasons I really wanted to grow the horseradish, obviously, Kenny likes it. I don't really mind horseradish, but for me, I don't like the horseradish, how most people prepare it. And most people will take the horseradish root, they'll rinse it off, put it through a processor, grind it up, and put some vinegar and maybe a little bit of salt in it. And then you can put that in the refrigerator, and that lasts for a good, I don't know, 6 weeks or something like that in the refrigerator. But a friend of ours, he grew horseradish, and he was big time into grilling. So we went over to his house one time. He was having a cookout, and he had taken the roots, because he was trying to get rid of the horseradish because there was just so much of it. His mother-in-law had planted the place that he ended up getting. But anyway, he took the root and he like grinded it up, and then he dehydrated it so it was like a powder, and he used that powder on like hamburgers and steaks and stuff like that he did on the grill. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to, is getting it dehydrated and using it probably more that way, because then I could put it in like butters and dips, and man, I could just think of a lot of different ways we could use it. But that is my plan for this horseradish. So to store horseradish, because once it hits the air, it kind of loses some of its potency. So the whiter it is, the better it is. And once it starts hitting the air and stuff like that, it starts to kind of brown a little bit and loses some of its potency. So what I plan to do is whatever I don't grind up and use, or grind up and dehydrate for this round, because those are some pretty good chunks. You know, I don't need the green, but I'm just gonna go ahead and put the greens back in there. Like I said, they did say you can eat the greens. I'm not a huge kale fan, but I'm gonna go ahead and put those back in there. But what I plan to do is dehydrate it, and if there is more than I need as far as like dehydrating, what you do is you just clean this up and then stick this in the freezer, and it will hold in the freezer for quite a while. But don't dig up any more than what you really need. And I'm not sure how much we're gonna need yet, so I'm gonna stop with just these 2 big chunks. I don't need, I'm gonna pull these roots off so they can hopefully continue to grow. Just kind of stick those in there. Not really gonna mess with it a whole bunch, but these are the 2 big chunks that I'm going to start with. Like I said, you guys know I have more of it over there, so what I plan to do is just leave that, because you can overwinter it in the ground. Plus, that might be a good excuse for me to get out of the house in the middle of winter, because if you guys don't know, I am a winter whiner. And yeah, I go into hibernation, so Kenny forces me out of the house occasionally. But another thing horseradish is really good for is clearing up sinuses. So obviously with winter coming on, you got the flu and the colds and stuff like that coming in. I'm going to make sure that I keep some of this off to the side and in the refrigerator, so that if we do start to feel a little cold or anything coming on, we're going to be using the horseradish root, because it will clear up your sinuses quick, fast, and in a hurry. As a matter of fact, this stuff is so strong and so good for your sinuses that if you stick this in a blender or processor when you go to process it, and you open that lid up and your face is anywhere near it, yeah, you're gonna instantly start watering, face turns red. Yeah, good times. So anyway, that's what we got. We got 2 decent sized chunks this year, and it wasn't even a full season from a piece that was probably about 6 inches long and probably no bigger. It might have been as big as my thumb. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the results, and we still have more out there for the rest of the winter. If these two don't last us all the way through. But Kenny does look horseradish, so I can't imagine it lasting too long. So here's my tip for growing horseradish. Do it. Because horseradish is also a brassica. So that means the flea beetles love it. So even if you don't like horseradish, the flea beetle does. Put it in a container, put it in your garden, and nothing else. It will act as an attractant, or almost kind of like a trap for flea beetles, because if they come over here and they eat these leaves down to nothing, which I've seen happen in our own, not with flea beetles, but anyway, I've seen where the leaves get eaten all the way down to nothing, and the leaves will come right back. So these will regenerate if a flea beetle infestation takes over. These will regenerate. Your other brassicas may not have such a good chance. So even if you don't like horseradish, put it in your garden for a trap.